guys, it's Miss Berg again. I do want to let you know now is really the time that you need to know your multiplication facts. I cannot stress that enough. So you really need to do that, learn them. Like I said, you could probably for the next couple weeks to 3 weeks use your multiplication chart just to help you until you do know them. But once you do know them, and if you know them now, don't use a multiplication chart. I'm just talking to the ones who don't know them, that they can use them for the next few weeks. And then we're going to be moving away from that. But I know I did a lot with you last week, and I am sorry for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, bring it back down. I tried to do 3 lessons a week, and that was really hectic. It just did not work out. So I'm going to go back down, especially with these two, 1.7 and 1.8. They're kind of a longer lesson. So I'm going to only do 2 this week. So that is what I'm going to have you do. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to have you guys do. So this week I'm going to do lesson 1.7 and 1.8 lessons. Again, they are longer, so that is why I'm choosing to only do 2. And then make sure you do 2 iReady lessons and then practice your math facts. That is what I want you guys to do. Do 2 iReady, I'm going to say math lessons. So make sure that you do this for this week. And then just to kind of get you ready for next week, I'll tell you what's going to happen for next week. So here's what's going to be happening for next week. You are going to have 1.10, 1.11. Yeah, so I'm skipping 1.9. You won't be doing 1.9 at all this year. And you're not going to do 1.12. I'm skipping that lesson. So this, I'm going to do 1.10, 1.11, and then we're going to do the chapter review together as well. So I'm going to post a video. You're just going to do it with me, or I'm going to tell you, if you want, you can always do it by yourself and then go and watch me doing it and see if you are correct and fix the ones. That is fine. I want you to do that. And then the other thing I want you to do next week will be doing just 1 iReady lesson for next week. So this is going to be next week's things, and this is what I'm going to do for this week. So this week again is 1.7, 1.8 because they are longer lessons. And then 2 iReady math lessons, and then don't forget about practicing your math facts. And I forgot to say, put down practice math facts. You need to practice math facts both weeks. So make sure you do that as well. So that is what I want you guys to do. All right, now I'm going to go into this lesson. Like I said, you can use a multiplication chart, and I printed this one off so you can kind of go to it if need be. You guys can also search it up online. So here is your multiplication fact chart that you could use. Also, some spots in here does not give you a lot of room to do your work, because you will be needing to do work on this. So I just have another piece of paper here just in case there's not enough space. I could do it on there. So just have a piece of paper handy if you would need it, and you probably may. All right, so it says a tiger can eat as much as 40 pounds of food at a time, but it may go for several days without eating anything. Suppose a Siberian tiger in the wild eats an average of 18 pounds of food a day. How much food will that tiger eat in 28 days if he eats that same amount each day? So what they're saying is you're going to take your 18 pounds a day but then they want to know what would it be if you did it for 28 days. So they want you to multiply this. Now, do you see how I wrote, usually when you're doing your multiplication, you put that first number up on top and then the second number, but do you see which one is bigger out of these two? It is 28. So usually it's the one that is larger or has the most digits goes on top. So in this case, since 28 is larger, just the proper way to do it is this way. I mean, if you do it the other way, you're not going to be wrong. It's just going to be set up differently. So I'm going to reverse it and write 28 times 18 over here. And since there is a lot of space, I'm going to do it over here because, again, I don't like the way that they're trying to explain it. I'm going to help you explain this as much as I can. So the first thing that you need to do when it comes to multiplying two-digit numbers, the first thing is you are still going to be doing your first number just like in 1.6, how we are doing this. You are going to do 28 times 8 first. So if you want in parentheses, you can say, all right, 28 times 8 is right here, just so that you understand what is going on. So I'm going to be doing 28 times 8, going back here first, then to the next one. But then what happens is the next thing, once that happens, and I have a story that goes with this, and it's about a cookie thief, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But I do tell the story because a lot of kids forget to bring down a 0. So I have like a story that goes along with it to remind you to put a 0 down, because a lot of kids forget about this. Now, the second thing after you are done with this 8, you're actually going to be going over to the 1. Now, this 1 is not just a 1. It is a 1 in the tens place. So really, it is truly a 10. So then what the second one is you're truly doing 28 times, not just a 1, but actually a 10. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. So I do want to show you what you're going to be doing. So first, you're going to do 8 times 8. And if you need that multiplication chart, again, you go and find 8 over here and 8 over here, and you come to where those two meet, which is right here at 64. So it is 64. So just like when you're adding, say it's like 18 plus 4. When we add, do you remember how when you come to this and it's 12? Well, what you do on 12 is you put that 2 from the ones place down, and then you carry that 1 to the next one. That is generally what you're doing, is you're carrying over. So if it's 64, the 4 goes down, just like when you're adding, and then the 6 gets carried to the next number. So you can put a +6 here to remind you to add that. So now you are done with 8 times 8, but now you have to go and work over 8 times 2 is 16 plus your 6. So then you go 16 plus 6, oh, that is 22. So since it is 22, of course you put a 2 down from the ones, but then there's no other number to be carrying it over. So you can just write out 22. Now, what the story is the 8 goes to 8's house and gets 64 cookies, you know, so you put a 4 and then some get carried over. Then the cookie thief, which is the 8 in this case, goes to 2's house and he gets, you know, 16 plus that additional 6 that was dribbled on the ground or whatever you want to say. So it would be 22 cookies that he stole. Now, what happens is I tell the story when he gets at the last house, he gets caught. So what I make them do, my students do, is put him in his little jail. He gets caught by the cops for being a cookie robber. So I put him kind of like in a jail saying that he's sad, he got caught. So now he is right here. And then you cross out any remainders, and then you go to the next one. His friend is also, his best friend is going to be a cookie robber as well. And he goes to both houses. So 1 goes to 8. Again, you always work backward. 1 times 8 is 8. And then 1 times 2 is 2. Now, why do I make sure to say some kind of story about him getting caught? Is because I want you to remember to bring down the 0. Some people say, oh, they call it magic 0, he's our hero. A lot of people like say stories like that. I don't, because a lot of people don't remember that. So that 0 is truly from this 10, because remember, it is not just a 1, it is a 10. So it is actually saying, 1 0, and then all that you're left with is now 1 times 28, which is 28. And that's truly what you are doing. But I have to put in a story because a lot of kids forget to bring down that 0. And since you guys remember silly stories about cookie robbers and things like that, they tend not to forget to bring it down. Maybe I'll have 1 or 2 that forget to do that, but please remember to bring down your 0 after he goes to that last house. So then after that, then you add these. So you're going to go 4 plus the 0 is 4. Then 8 plus 2 is 10. Then you carry your 1. And I have my students circle it if it gets carried, because sometimes they forget that they carried. So if they circle it, they'll remember to add that in there too. So 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So therefore, your answer to this is 504. So that is how you do that. So the Siberian tiger may eat 504 pounds of food in 28 days. So your answer is 504. All right, so then we're going to go to the next one. Now this one, a Siberian tiger was observed sleeping 1,287 minutes during a course of 1 day. So that is what he did for 1 day. If he slept that long every day, how many minutes would he sleep in 1 year? And then it says, assume that there are 365 days in 1 year. So that, again, this is for a day, but then they want to know if that's 1 day, then how many days are in a year? They're saying assume that there's 365 days. So you're going to be multiplying these two numbers together. Now you will need a lot of space for this. So I'm going to try and put it, oh man, I'm going to put it over here probably and hope that that's plenty of space. So 1,287 times 365. So just to be off to the side, I'm going to tell you what we're going to be doing. First, you're going to take 1,287 and you're going to first times it by 5. Then the second row is a 6, but remember it's not just a 6, it is a 6D. So it is 1,287 times not just 6, but a 6D. So keep that in mind. And then the last one that you are going to be multiplying and have another row of is 1,287 times not just a 3, but it's a 3 in the hundreds. So it is 300. So there's actually going to be 3 rows of numbers here. And so when you add it, I'm probably going to have to put that answer down here so that there's some space. So here we go. The first thing is first. 5 times 7. If you need to look at a multiplication chart, again, here is your multiplication chart. So 5 times 7. You could either choose to do 7 here and then 5 here and come to where they meet, or you could do 5 here and 7 here, and then do where they meet, which is that 35. So it is 35. Let's put a 5, carry your +3. Then you go 5 times 8 now is 40 plus your 3, that is 43. So you put a 3 down, carry your 4. Then you go over here. Now 5 times 2. The 5 goes to 2's house. That is 10 plus 4 is 14. So you go 4, then carry your +1. Then 5 goes to 1's house. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 1 is 6. So that is the end of that one. It went to the last house. What I have my students do is they, cross out all the remainders up here. And then what happens on that last house, number 5 gets caught and gets brought to jail. So here he is. If you want to do this on your paper, that is fine. If you just want to put a 0, that is fine too. Doesn't matter. But again, I want you to understand why that 0 is there. It's because of the 0 of 60. And then the rest of it is now figuring out what 1,287. So that is truly what's going on. So now the 6 then goes to the back house, which is 7. So 6 times 7 is 42. So you're going to put a 2 down here, and then you're going to carry your 4. Now this is where it gets really messy, because now you got to make room, even more room, for that next round of remainders. That's why I have my students cross it out when they are done with that one first number, so that they can get ready for the next one. 8 times 6 is 48 plus 4. 48 plus 4 is 52. So you're going to put a 2 down and carry your 5 to the side. Then you go and do 6 goes to 2. Now this is where you just got to pay attention to what one you're going to next. If you skip a number, and then you're going to make this entire thing wrong. So please keep track of which one you're doing. If I had another hand, that would help me keeping track of where I am. Or if you have like a little piece of paper, you could do this as well, kind of like keep track of where you're at. So we're at 6 times 2, which is 12, plus 5 is 17. So then it is a 7. Then carry your +1 above that. And now we're at 6 times 1, which is 6, plus 1 is 7. Now here's the next problem that I have a lot of students do. It is very important that you keep every number below it lined up. If you don't do that, it gets very, very cluttered, and people want to make it like squeeze it together. No, you actually want to space this out to make sure that everything is lined up properly. Otherwise, it's going to really mess you up. So do you see how I'm lining everything up underneath each number so it is lined up? And if you need to, you can give yourself a little bit of space in between each number so that it's not so cluttered. It will help you for that too. So now the 6 went to the 1's house, and then we did that, the +1. So now we are done with this. Now here's the thing, and this is how I keep my students to remember. So the 6 now gets caught as well. So they both are in trouble, and that is why they are both are in jail now. So that is why there are 2 zeros now. Now, why are there 2 zeros? Truly, it's because of the 300 has 2 zeros behind it, and you have to put those there first. So that is why, truly, but I just tell a story because kids remember stories more than they do about just why that is. So then the 3 comes into play. Then you go 3 times 7, which is 21. So you put a 1 down, then you carry your 2. And then 3 times 8 is 24, plus 2 is 26. So you put a 6 down. Now you're going to carry your +2 up here. Then 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. and then 3 goes to 1, and that is 3 as well. So therefore, now you did that all. Remember, make sure you are spacing everything so they're all kind of in line with each other. So 5 plus 0 plus 0, that is 5. So I'm going to put that down here. Next is 3 plus 2 is 5. Then next is 4 plus 2 plus 1, that is 7. Then 6 plus 7 is 13, plus 6 is 19, so a 9, carry your 1. And then 8 plus 8 is 16, carry your 1, and then a 4. So your answer to this should be 1, 2, 3, comma, 469,755 minutes in 1 year is how long this tiger is going to sleep. So 469,755 would have been your answer. All right, so now we're going to come over here. So here is what you are going to be doing. You are going to do, again, now I like how they have this. This is called, actually this would be like graph paper, and I do have graph paper that I will allow people to use too throughout the year. I just forgot to lay it out, but a lot of people do like to use graph paper, and I think it is helpful because then you can put one number in each box. So I can lay out some graph paper for any parents who would like to pick that up, or if you want to pick up some, you can just have your parents just email me, and I can lay out some graph paper for them to pick up as well, like out in the foyer, because if I don't know that they're coming, I bet a lot of people are going to come and take a lot, and then I'm going to have none left. So if you want graph paper, I can give you some. Just let me know. But graph paper does seem to help. Now here, remember, the first thing that we are going to do is actually 64 times the 3. Then the next one is going to be 64 times not just 4. Keep in mind that is not just 4. That is actually a 4 in the tens, which is worth 40. So again, keep in mind that is why that we do have that 0 that comes down. So first thing is 3 times 4 is 12. So we put 12, carry your 1. Then 3 times 6 is 18, plus 1 is 19. So we have 19, but since there is no more numbers to be adding on, you can just put 19 down here. So then after this, the 3 goes to 6, the cookie robber gets caught, and that is why we have a 0, just to remind us, hey, put it here if you want to make like a little, the kids really just like to put like him in a jail cell. They love that part. So that's probably why they remember it so well, is because they love to make that. And it really works when it's in a grid paper because it's already kind of blocked off for them. But remember, that 0 is truly from the 40. So that is why that 0 is there. And then you're left with just 4 times 64, which we're going to figure out. Now, before I do that, cross out any remainders, and then we start again. 4 times 4 is 16, carry your 1. Then 4 times 6 is 24, plus 1 is 25. And since there's no more numbers to be regrouping them or putting remainders on top of, we just put 25 down here. All right, so what is 2 plus 0? It is 2. 9 plus 6 is 15. Carry your 1, and I have them circle it. So now we have 2 plus 5, which is 7, and then 2. So your answer to this is 2,752. Okay, the next thing, again, same thing. The first thing that we're going to be multiplying on this one is 571 times 8. And the next one is 571 times a 3, but remember, it's not just a 3, it's a 3 in the 10s, so it's actually 30. So keep that in mind. All right, now we'll do this. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 7 is 56, so we're going to put a 6 down, carry your plus 5. Then 8 times 5 is 40, plus 5 is 45. Then, since it went to that last house, he gets caught. Again, if you want to use that story to remind you, by all means, you may use it, but you don't have to if you know that you'll remember to put that 0 from the 30 there, then you can do that as well. It does not matter. So then make sure you cross out any remainders before you move on to the next number, which is 3. Now 3 again is going to go into the back house first and then go and move forward. So 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 7 is 21. So a 1, carry your plus 2. 3 times 5 is 15. Plus 2 is 17. And now we can add. 8 plus the 0 is 8. Then 6 plus 3 is 9. 5 plus 1 is 6. 7 plus 4 is 11, so that is a 1. Carry your 1 if you need to circle it to remind you. And then 1 plus 1 is 2. So your answer would be 21,698. Now, the next thing is, again, it's coming up to estimate. Remember, you don't have to estimate this year. However, if you would like to use it, it is optional. You may definitely use it. I'm not telling you you can't. You may certainly use it, but I'm just not going to use it. But you guys can certainly use it if you wanted to. So some people, if you do choose to do it, some people will say, oh, you know, that's close to 20 and this is close to 20, more 20 than it is 10. So you would do 20 times 20, which is 2 zeros at the end, and 2 times 2 is left, so that would be around 400. So this answer should be closer around 400. So it is optional to do, but I did do it just in case anyone wanted to do it. And everyone, you know, estimates at different spots too. So that's where it gets kind of confusing as well. So it's up to you whether you want to do it or not. Now, just a quick thing, 24 times 5 is first. And then the next row is going to be 24 times a 1. But remember, it's not just a 1, it is a 10. So keep that in mind. All right, here we go. So first thing is 5 times 4 is 20. Then carry your plus 2. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Okay, then he gets caught, or for those of you who really want to know why we have a 0 down there, it's because the little 0 from that 10. So there is the 0. Then you're left with 1 times 4 is 4, and 1 times 2 is 2. And then you add it. What is 0 plus 0? It's 0. And 4 plus 2 is 6. And 1 plus 2 is 3. So your answer should have been 360 is your answer to that. Okay, next one. Now again, if you want to rewrite it because it is too small for you to write, then rewrite it. There's nothing saying you can't. Well, this one does look really weird. You can still do it this way. I don't want you to think that you can't. You can, but it's just not the proper way of writing it. Usually and generally they put the one, if they have the same amount of digits, they put the one that is larger on top. So you may switch it around, or you can choose not to switch it around and just do the same thing. I am going to just switch it around. So instead of 63 on the bottom, I'm going to switch it so that the larger number is on top, and then the one on the bottom is the smaller one. So here, to review, we're actually going to do 63 times 7 in the first row. And then the second row is 63 times a 3. But remember, it's not just a 3, it is a 30. So keep that in mind. Next, 7 times 3 is 21. Carry your +2. 7 times 6 is 42. +2 is 44. So that is the answer to that first one. But then he gets caught, or you can say the 0 from the 30, whatever way you want to go about doing that. There he is, cross out any remainders, and then we start again. Now it's 3 times 3 is 9. Make sure you were putting it right underneath that next number. And then 3 times 6 is 18. So then you put a 1 and then an 8. And then you can add 1 plus 0 is 1. Then 9 plus 4 is 13. So that would be a 3. Carry your 1. So then you can say 5. 4 plus 1 is 5. Plus 8 is 13 again. Carry your 1. And then 1 plus 1 is 2. So your answer to this one is 2,331 is that answer. So keep in mind, guys, I am doing all this work. You guys should be doing it too. And unfortunately, this is the kind of stuff that you're going to be seeing on the state test as well. Like they'll give you like this problem and then they'll blank out. Like they could blank out this or they could blank out here. And then you got to go back and try and search and figure it out. So it is very important that you guys are writing all this work with me. And on your homework, all your work should be shown as well. So do remember to do that. All right, now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to rewrite it just because it's so small. So I'm going to do that over here. So keep in mind, I'm going to write this even smaller. This is really saying 384 times 5, and then the next row is 384 times, not just a 4, it is 4D. So keep that in mind. All right, here we go. 5 times 4 is 20. Carry your 2. 5 times 8 is 40, plus 2 is 42. Carry your 4. 5 then goes to 3, that is 15, plus 4 is 19. So that is the end of that one. Cross out any remainders, and then this one gets caught, or the 0 from the 40, however you want to look at it, does not matter. Just as long as you remember to bring that 0 down. Then you start again. Now is 4. 4 goes to 4. So that would be 4 times 4 is 16. So that would be a 6. Carry your plus 1. Then 4 times 8 is 32. Plus that 1 is 33. So we have a 3. Carry your 3. Then 4 to the 3 is 12. Plus 3 is 15. So then you add 0 plus 0 is 0. Then 6 plus 2 is 8. Then 9 plus 3 is 12. Carry your 1. Circle it so you don't forget. Then 5 plus 2 is 7. And then a 1. So your answer is 17,280. All right, now what I want you to do is I want you to try 6, 7, and 8 on your own. So please pause this and try 6, 7, and 8 on your own. And you can come back. Now, since they did not give you a lot of space, you may want to do that on a different sheet of paper. It is completely up to you. But I would personally probably write it on a different sheet of paper. So go ahead and pause this, and then we will go over it. Okay, now, you should have paused it. And so if you did pause it, I have it all written down over here. Again, you should have done 28 times 2. And then this is now 28 times not just 2, it's 20. So if you do that, 8 times 2 is 16, carry your 1. 2 times 2 plus 1 is 5. So that is what the first one was. Then you should have carried down the 0, and you could have carried that 0 from the 20 over here. Then you would do 2 times 8 again is 16. So 6, carry your 1. Then 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. So if you did this, that would have been 6. And then this one would have been 11. Then you carry your 1, and I should have circled it. And then 5 plus 1 is 6. So that is the answer to that one. Next, so your answer should have been 616 if you did it correctly. Next, the other one, you should have done 93 times 6. And then the next one would have been 93 times not just a 7, but a 70. So keep that in mind. 6 times 3 is 18. So you put an 8 down, carry your 1. Then 9 times 6 is 54, plus 1 is 55. And so we just put 55 right here. Then you bring down that 0. And then you go 7 times 3 is 21. So you put a 1 down, carry your 2. And then 7 times 9 is 63, plus your 2 is 65. So that is why we have 65 written right here. So then when you add that, 8 plus 0 is 8. Then 5 plus 1 is 6. And this would have been 10. Then you carry your 1. And then 6 plus 1 is 7. So your answer to this one is 7,068. Next, this was, they're just trying to see whether they could trick you or not. So this one you should have said, all right, 5,271 times 9. Then the next one would be 5,271 times not just a 2, but remember it is 20. And then the other one is 5,271 not times not just by a 1, but 100. So if you need to remember, you can write it off to the side here to remember what you are doing. And then you can go ahead and do it. So if you did it, 9 times 1 is 9. Then this one would have been 63. So a 3 carry your 6. That would have been 18, plus your 6 is 24. So you put a 4 down, carry your 2. Then 9 times 5 is 45, plus 2 is 47. So that was that one. Then you should have brought down a 0. Again, the 1 0 from that 20. Then started with a 2. 2 goes to 1. 2 times 1 is 2. Then 2 times 7 is next, which is 14. Carry your 1. Then 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. And then 2 times 5 is 10. And then the next one, it's not just a 1. Remember, it is a 100, so you have 2 zeros to bring down. Or if you want to say that one story, now there's 2 friends that are in jail, so you could have put them in jail as well. Up to you how you guys did it. And then it would have been 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 7 is 7, 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 5 is 5. And then when you added them all up and brought over any remainders, your total answer should have been 679,959. So I am not going to be doing any more of those. If you do want to practice some more, you may do 9 through 16. So it is up to you whether you want to do more, and then you can just check them on a calculator to see if you did it correctly. You may do that. But this is just practice, copy and solve. If you choose to do any more, you may try these. They're just giving you actual other ones if you want to. But since we're going to keep doing a lot more, I am going to just keep on going with this. So this one says 1 case of books weighs 35 pounds. 1 case of magazines weighs 23 pounds. A bookstore has to ship 72 books, cases of books, and 94 cases of magazines to another store. What is the total weight of this shipment? So this one says that they are going to bring 72 cases of books. Well, the one that goes with that is one case weighs 37 pounds, but there's 72 of those. So in order to do this correctly, you should have done 72 times 35. So that was just the books, but there was also a shipment of magazines too. The magazines were 94 cases of magazines, and each one weighs 23 pounds. So you would have had 23 pounds was one case, and then you times it by how many cases, that would have been 94. So then once you find out how much those are, then you're just going to simply add them. You would add up, this shipment has books plus magazines. So once you figure out what the books are and the magazines, then you would add them, just like here, to figure out what the total would be for the shipment. So we will then do this. So you guys can do it on a whole different sheet of paper, which is fine by me. Or if you find another place, you could put place if you had extra space over here. I don't. So I am going to use this paper. So we're going to do 72 times 35. And then the other one was 94 times 23, but remember, proper way is just to put the one that is larger. Since 94 is larger, remember you can switch around those two numbers and it's still going to give you the same answer with the commutative property. So again, if you guys think you guys understand it, you don't have to put these parentheses here anymore, but if you do want to, you could just say times by 5. And then this one can be times by 30 or 3, but don't forget that 0 and 30, you can do that as well to remind you. If you don't want to write that anymore, then that's fine. If you think you got it, then don't worry about it. You don't have to write that. It's just there to help you, tell you what you're truly doing. So 5 times 2 is 10, carry your 1. Then 7 times 5 plus 7 times 5 is 35, plus 1 is 36. So that was that answer. Then don't forget about that 0 and 30, or that guy getting caught. You bring it down here if you want to have him, you know, in a cell for being a cookie robber. That is up to you. And then cross out any remainders. Then go 3 times 2 is 6, and 3 times 7 is 21. And then we add. So 0 plus 0 is 0. 6 plus 6 is 12. Carry your 1. Then 3 plus 1 is 5. And then 2. So this is how much weight, 2,520 pounds for just the books. So now we're going to figure out what the magazines are. So again, if you want to, you can say times by 3, and then this one you're really timesing not by 2 but by 20. So it is up to you. Here we go. So 3 times 2 is 12, carry your 1. This would be 27, plus 1 is 28. Okay, we are done with that one. You may choose to bring down that 0, or remember that there's a 0 from 20. Then 2 times 4 is 8, and 2 times 9 is 18. So this would be 2, 8 plus 8 is 16, carry your 1. Then this is 3 plus 8 is 11, so 1, carry your 1. And then 1 plus 1 is 2. So the answer to how much the magazines weigh is 2,162. But remember, we are not done. We have to add these two. So now we're going to take that and add. Now the big thing about adding is make sure that the numbers are lined up as well. So the 2 is back here, then a 6, then a 1, and then a 2. And now we add these. So that would be 2, 8, 6, 4. So your answer should be 4,682 pounds. All right, now we're going to do some more very quickly. All right, this one says, how much sleep does a jaguar get in 1 year? So if you look over at this chart and it tells you that they're talking about the animals, so then they're saying the usual hours per week. So keep that in mind. This is talking about a week, but this question said 1 year. So in order to do that, you would have to figure out weeks, how many weeks are in a year. Well, they want you to assume that there are generally around 52 weeks in a year. So keep that in mind. So whatever that number is, we would have to times it by 52 to get to 1 year. So it said a jaguar, which is 77. So in order to figure this out, we should do 77 times 52. Again, you can do it up in the space provided. You can do it on another sheet of paper. It truly does not matter. So if you did this, it would be 7 times 2 is 14, carry your 1. This would be 14 again, plus 1 is 15. Then remember that 0, don't forget to bring it down and put it underneath that next number. Then cross out any remainders. 5 times 7 is 35, carry your 3. Then that would be 35 plus 3 is 38. Then add this. It would be 4. This would be 10, carry your 1. That would be 2 plus 8 is 10, carry your 1, and a 4. So that would be 4,004 hours in a year is how much a jaguar sleeps. In 1 year again, so they're giving you a year again, how many more hours of sleep does the giant armadillo get than a platypus? So now you have to come over here, see what the armadillo is. That is 127 a week, but they're saying in a year. So now we're going to have to take this and times it by 52 again. So we'll figure out what a giant armadillo is. 127 times 52 weeks. I don't know if I said 56. I meant to say 52 weeks in a year. So you would times it by 52. And then we will have to see the other one was a platypus. So they are 98 a week, but how many weeks are in a year? That is 52. So make sure you do that. And then we'll figure out the difference between the two, because it says how many more hours does this one sleep than this. So you would have to find the difference between those two. And the difference just means the answer to a subtraction problem. So that's just to remind you about that. All right, so 2 times 7 is 14, carry your 1. 2 times 2 plus 1 is 5. 2 times 1 is 2. And then cross out any remainders. Make sure you bring down that 0. Then you go 5 times 7 is 35. Please keep everything lined up. Carry your plus 3. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13, so a 3. Carry your plus 1. And then 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. So then you add these. That would be a 4, a 10, carry your 1. That would be 3 plus 3 is 6, and a 6. So therefore, an armadillo does sleep 6,604 hours, 604 6,604 hours a year. Now we got to figure out what the platypus does a year. So that would be 16, carry your 1. That would be 18 plus 1 is 19. Then carry down your 0 from that 50. Cross out any remainders. 5 times 8 is 40. So a 0, carry your 4. 9 times 5 is 45, plus 4 is 49. So that would be a 6, a 9, 10, carry your 1, and a 5. So this is what a platypus does a year. But the question said, how many more hours does that armadillo sleep than the platypus? So you got to find the difference between these two. How do you find the difference? You would subtract them. So now the next step is to now take these numbers, which is 6,604, and then subtract off the other one, which is 5,096. Okay, now we're going to subtract. 4 minus 6 you cannot do, so you'd have to borrow, but there's nothing to borrow here. So you have to go all the way over here to this 6 and borrow 1, which is now a 5, which now makes this one a 10. Now can you borrow 1 for that 4? Yes. So you're going to take 1 from the 10, and now that's going to be at 9. And now this can be a 14. 14 minus 6 is 8. 9 minus 9 is 0. 5 minus 0 is 5. And then 6 minus 5 is 1. So therefore, it is 1,508 more hours. Okay, next. Owl monkeys sleep during the day, waking about 15 minutes after sundown to find food. At midnight, they rest for an hour or two and then continue to feed until sunrise. They live about 27 years. How many hours of sleep does an owl monkey that lives 27 years get in a lifetime? Guys, this is such a wordy problem, and they're trying to throw in things that really you don't need to know. I mean, that's great that they wake up about 15 minutes after sundown to find food, but that is really not needed and not necessary to do this problem. And then it tells about how they rest for an hour or two at midnight to continue to feed. That's great. But that's not part of what you need to know here. The question said, how many hours of sleep does he sleep? Does an owl monkey sleep if that he lives for 27 years? So if you come over here, an owl monkey does 119 hours a week. Now, they're talking about 27 years. So in order to do this, it's actually got to do a couple of things. First, what we should do is we should do 119 and times it by 52 weeks to figure out 1 year. So this is going to give us the year of what it does. And then after you find out what just 1 year is, then you would take this number and then you are going to times that by 27 years. So there's actually 2 steps to this. So we're going to do this very quickly. I'm going to do some of my work. Actually, I'm going to switch over to this. We're going to switch over here and do my work here. So that would be 119 times 52 first, because that is in parentheses. You do parentheses first, which we'll talk about in another lesson in this chapter. So first, 9 times 2 is 18. Carry your 1. Then 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, and then 2 times 1 is 2. Then you are done with the 2. So you can bring it on down, make it into a 0 right below the 8. Again, that is a 0 from the 50. Cross out any remainders. Then do 5 times 9 is 45. Carry your plus 4. Then 5 times 1 is 5, plus 4 is 9, and 5 times 1 is 5. So when you add this, it would be an 8, 8, 11, carry your 1, and 6. So therefore, the owl monkey sleeps, we'll put that one in here, 6,188 hours a year. That again is only 1 year, but it wanted to know its lifetime. Its lifetime is 27 years. So now we're gonna have to times it by 27 to figure out what that is. So now I'm gonna come over here and just do another multiplication problem, but this one is gonna be times by 27. 8 times 7 is 56, carry your 5. 8 times 7 again is 56, plus 5 is 61. So 1, carry your 6. Then 7 times 1 is 7, plus 6 is 13, carry your 1. 7 times 6 is 42, plus 1 is 43. So then the 7 is done. Bring down your 0 from that actual 20. So keep that in mind. Then cross this out. Then make sure everything is underneath each number. You see how I kind of spaced out? Now that I spaced out, I got to put each number underneath each one and make sure everything's lined up. So 2 times 8 is 16. So I'm going to put the 6 under here, carry your 1. Then 2 times 8 is 16, plus 16 plus 1 is 17. So I'm going to put the 7 underneath that next number, make sure everything is lined up, then plus 1. Then 2 to 1 is 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So make sure I'm going to put that underneath this one. And then 2 times 6 is 12. So I'm going to make sure I'm going to put the 2 and the 12 underneath that one, and then the 1 is all by itself. And now I'm going to add. So this would be 6, 7, this is 10, carry your 1. Then this is 6 plus 1 is 7. Then a 6, 4 plus 2 is 6, and then a 1. So then 1, 2, 3, comma. So your answer is owl monkeys generally sleep 167,076 hours for their lifetime. So that is the answer to that. All right, next one. It says tickets to the museum cost $17 each. But for a field trip, the museum offers a $4 discount. What a discount means, guys, it means $4 off of each ticket. Because it's a field trip, a lot more people are going to be coming, so they generally give them a discount, a coupon of some sort. So you take a discount means to take $4 off of each ticket. So how much will the tickets cost for 32 students? So remember, each one costs $17, but since this is a field trip, they're going to knock off $4 off of each ticket. So that would be $13 a ticket. But they want to know how much will that be for 32 students. So now you can just do 32 times 13. So 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9. And then you can bring down your 0. And then that would be a 2. And then 3, and then that would be 6, that would be 11, carry your 1, and then 4. And you could have done it on another piece of paper. I just tried to jam it in there because I'm noticing my phone is running out of battery very quickly, so I got to make this kind of fast. So your answer is $416 for 32 students. All right, next. It says Rachel earns $21 a day. So $21 per day. They want you to say whether this is a true or false statement for each one. So remember, this is for 1 day is $21. Now, it says Rachel will earn this much money if she works for 20 days of work. So in order to do this, you should do, remember it's $21 a day is what she gets, but she's going to work for 20 days. So we have to times it by 20, and let's figure out what that comes out to be. 0 times 1 is 0, and then this would be 0. Then make sure you bring down the 0, and then you would do 2 times 1 is 2, and then 4. So if you add this up, it would be 420. Now, 420, and it said that she would get 421. So is this a true or a false statement? You should have said a false statement. So now that you know how to do this, go ahead and pause this and do the rest on your own. So 22B, C, and D, and then turn this back on and see whether you were right or not. So please pause it now. Okay, so you should have paused this and have tried it. Now let's see if you are correct. So it would be $21 a day again, keep that in mind. But now they're saying, all right, she's gonna work for 15 days. So let's see what that comes out to be. So 5 times 1 is 5, and then 10, and then bring down your 0. And then 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2. So then when you add this, this would have been a 5, a 1, and a 3. So it should have been 315. Is that what they got? Yes. So therefore, it was a true statement. Next, it said for 13 days. So then you would do 21 times 13. So that would be 3 and a 6. Bring down your 0. Don't forget to bring down your 0 every time. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. And then that is a 3, 7, and a 2. So you should have, she should have gotten $273. And that's what it says. So this is a true statement. Then it says, well, how does she earn $250 for 13 days of work? 13 days of work? Wait, we just did that. What did that come out to be? It would have been 273, and they're saying, will it be 250? So is this a true or a false statement? It is 100% a full statement. We already did that. It should have been 273. So that should have been your answers to those. Okay, now I'm going to go to your homework. So now please go over to the next page, and then we're going to talk about this. Now, again, they don't give you a ton of space. So if you need to, please either put your work down here. You do need to show your work, or do it on another piece of paper like this. You could do it on the back of this paper or whatever. So what I'm going to do so I don't waste paper is I'm going to do it on the back of this one. And then you could always, if your parents are giving me the homework, I don't want just the answer. Again, I want the work too. So make sure that they take a picture of your work if it's not on this page. If it is on this page, then don't worry about it. But if you're doing it on a separate sheet, I need both pages with it. And if they're handing it in, just tell them to attach your work page to your homework page and staple it. Or at least put your name on both of these and say like lesson 1.7 homework. And then I know that it goes with this one. And then if you don't have a stapler, then that's fine too. But make sure your name's on both of these before you do that as well. All right, so now we're gonna do some of these together. Again, they don't give me a ton of space. So again, you do, oh, and estimate is optional. Again, that is up to you whether you want to use it or not. Totally your call. But I'm going to rewrite it over here. I think I have enough space. So I'm going to rewrite this over here. 92 times 68. All right, so 8 times 2 is 16. Carry your 1. 9 times 8, 72, plus 1 is 73. Make sure you bring your 0 down. And then cross out any remainders. 6 times 2 is 12. carry your 1. Then 9 times 6 is 54, plus 1 is 55. So when you add this, it would be 6, 5, 12, carry your 1, and that is a 6. So your answer should have been 6,256 is your answer to that. Box in your final answer. Also, if you wanted to do it off to the side and say what it is, you could have said this first row is really doing 92 times just the 8. And then the second row is really doing 92 times 6. But remember, it's not just a 6, it is a 60. And that's where that 0 comes into place, that 0 from 60. All right, real quick, I'm going to do this one with you too. I'm probably going to do this on here because there isn't a ton of space. So I'm just going to rewrite it here. Again, this is the times 2. This is the one where it's times by not just a 4, but a 40. And then this one is when you take 1,537 and you times it by 2 again, but it's not just a 2, it is a 200. So keep that in mind. All right, here we go. So keep everything lined up. So this would be 14, carry your 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Then this is 10, carry your 1. Then 2 plus 1 is 3. Then bring down your 0. Again, that 0 comes from the 0 and 40. Then cross out any remainders. That would be 28, carry your 2. And then that would be 12 plus 2 is 14, carry your 1. Then 4 times 5 is 20, plus 1 is 21, carry your 2. And then 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. And then you bring down not just 1 0, but 2 zeros. And then you start again. 2 times 7 is 14, carry your 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. And this is 10, so carry your 1 on top of that. And then 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So keep that in mind again, that this is not just 1 0, it is 2 zeros from that 200. So that is why you have to have 2 zeros. So then this would have been a 4. This one, a 15, carry your 1. 4 plus 4 plus 1 is 9. Then 3 plus 7 is 10, plus 1 is 11, carry your 1. Then this one would have been 7 and 3. So your answer would have been 371,954. So that was your answer. And then you can just, I'll know if you just have the answer that you showed your work somewhere, and I'll go looking for it. So do make sure you are showing your work, because then I know you did. You will have number 4, 5, 6, and 7 for homework. Now keep in mind here, the proper way is to always put up the one that has the most digits up on the top, or the one that is larger. So remember, you can reverse these. So do keep that in mind. This one says there are 135 cars in a rally. Each driver paid $25 fee to participate in this rally. How much money did all the drivers pay in all? So in order to figure this out, remember there's 135 cars, and each driver paid a $25 fee. So you should have times it by 25 to figure out how much they paid in all. So again, if you want to say this over here, this one was timesing it by 5. And then this row is not just going to be timesing it by 2, but by 20. So here we go. 5 times 5 is 25, carry your 2. That would be 15 plus 2 is 17, carry your 1. That would be 5 plus 1 is 6. Then bring down your 0. Then cross out any remainders. Your next one is 10, carry your 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7, and then 2 times 1 is 2. So 5, 7, this is 13, carry your 1, and 3. So therefore, they ended up paying out a total of $3,375. All right, then the back, on the back, I'm going to have you do 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. Now, why did I skip this one? It's because it's one of those that, like I said, it will keep referring to those properties. But again, this was not one that you needed to memorize. You don't need to memorize the properties this year. So that is why I'm not making you do it. So we're going to do this one together. So this is the distributive. So in the distributive, remember, you are distributing everything on the outside of this parenthesis to every number on the inside and then rewriting it. So the first one would be 8 times goes to 40. And that is what is missing, is that 40. And then the other one would have been your plus. And then you do 8 times to the 7, which they already had written down. So the one that was missing was, it should have been a 40. And that was it. All right, so that is the end of lesson 1.7. Again, if it does not give you a lot of space, do put it on a piece of paper and do make sure that you are showing your work paper. So make sure you take a picture of this if you're not going to be handing it in. Take a picture of this work paper as well as this if this is where you choose to do your work. I want to see your work on all of these. All right, so especially on these ones, I want to see your work. And these two as well. And then these ones you can just do right on here. So make sure you're showing your work if there is room provided. Okay, so I will see you in a little bit for 1.8 will be the other one. So then we will go to the next lesson. All right, and do remember you can use a multiplication chart again for the next couple of weeks or 2 to 3 weeks. So just start working on your multiplication facts as well. All right, I will see you guys again very soon. Bye.